Good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Pleasant Valley in Camarillo, California. And once again, we're coming to you via Zoom. And I'm just so excited to introduce who's with us today. And first of all, we have Stan Galperson, our musician, our inspirational musician who just graduated and has his prac license now, or he'll have his prac license. Also, we have our wonderful Lynn and Buzz Noe, our wonderful Reverend Betty Ann, and we also have our Dr. Sue. We're going to be in dialogue with Dr. Sue Rubin today, my teacher and the teacher of teachers, as I call her. So we just want to tell you a little bit about ourselves. And so our vision is awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And I left a part out. So before we even do we'll do the mission statement, then we'll all say hi. So our mission statement is teaching and demonstrating spiritual principles for living an abundant and fulfilling life in a welcoming and compassionate community. Now, can everybody say hi? I did it.
Of course.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
What does Lynn always say? I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet.
So also we believe in that there is one source and many paths to that source. So we honor all religions. And I believe that the fine thread that it goes throughout all the religions is love. And so that is the thread that weaves us together in that mighty way. And so we honor every faith, including Buddhism, Krishna, Mohammed, Jesus, Baha'u'llah, whatever it is, as long as you are seeking that oneness to find out who you are, the divine within you in that search, we bless you, we honor you on your path, and we hope that you'll join us again on a Sunday as we explore the great beyond within us that is so important. And so now I would like to introduce our wonderful Reverend Betty Ann. Reverend Betty Ann always has a quote that supports our talk, and our talk today is ego or essence. So Betty Ann.
I let go of everything that is no longer serves me, and I create a new space that excites me with anticipation. I hold the future in my hands. So it is.
Thank you. And so it is. I am now introducing a wonderful song that is so uplifting for today, and it's Nima Patel and Empty Hands, Empty Heart Music, and it is Keep Loving, a universal love song. And so enjoy.
Whether you're different, same ignorant or intelligent, whether you tell the truth, lie or embellish it, whether you live in gratitude or for the hell of it, it doesn't really matter, it's still one single fellowship. Whether you've been lustful or living celibate, whether you're an optimist or only see the negative, whether you're dead broke or rich from inheritance, doesn't really matter, we're made of the same sediment. Whether you got a family or single parenting, or you're Asian, African, European or American, whether you pray to God or atheist is irrelevant, cause what you got inside is the same as all your brethren. It'll change your heart, it'll change your mind, and then you'll start to change. So keep everything you touch, everyone you see will soon become your family. Do you see yourself in the troubled and the homeless. Can you say everywhere you are is where your home is? Sharing your heart in the dark just like a lotus, letting your light shine bright so you can float it. Everlasting love of grace like those did Jesus, Muhammad, Krishna, Buddha, and Moses, who carried the weight of the world upon their shoulders. So every time you fall down, go ahead and hold this close to your heart, cause you're a love soldier. And every time you get a chance, you pay it forward. Moving closer to heaven's gates, we're all soaring. Because of you, love is where we're headed towards. Despair, gotta spread the love where nobody cares. Gotta keep on loving, gotta keep on sharing, gotta keep on trying, gotta keep on caring, gotta keep the light on through dark and despair. So keep loving. Keep loving, gotta keep on loving, gotta keep on sharing, gotta keep on trying, gotta keep on caring, gotta keep the light on through dark and despair, gotta spread the love where nobody cares. Gotta keep on loving, gotta keep on sharing, gotta keep on trying, gotta keep on caring, gotta keep the light on through dark and despair.
Hi, welcome back. And now it is my honor to go into that sacred space. I'd like to introduce Reverend Lynn Chaplain Noe with our opening treatment. Reverend Lynn.
Thank you, Rev Pam. Good morning, dear ones. Let's bring all of our loving energy into this space, this wonderful, loving space. Close our eyes. And as I breathe into this space and into this moment, I am aware of a presence and a power, a way of life, a way of being that is all loving, generous, creative. And I'm one with this wonderful, wonderful sense, this presence of good. This can be called infinite intelligence, divine intelligence, love, life, God. And I know that I'm one with this wonderful source of creativity and life. I am the divine, individualized expression of all that God is. And so in this moment, I speak into, I am guided from, and I love from this I am that I am, the I am that I am, that is one with all life. So I step forth on my pathway today, which I know is a very small path in the confines of my house, but the grandeur of how love travels is amazing. And I step onto this path and travel into the hearts of everyone, everywhere on my spiritual pathway. I am that I am love. I am that I am creativity. I am that I am one with you, with all life. I am so in love with these truths of oneness with Source as I bring them to my consciousness right now, in the center of my awareness, right in front of me, preparing me for this wonderful service that is now already unfolding, with all the great wisdom and love coming from Dr. Sue and Reverend Pam, and the beautiful music and the oneness and the humor that is all our wonderful church, this wonderful church that dwells within our hearts. I'm so grateful for these loving truths. As I release them now into the law of mind, I allow divine mind to take care of the details of how my life unfolds, while I enjoy this beautiful and glorious and revelatory session this morning, this service of love and peace. And together we all say, and so it is. And so it is my pleasure to introduce the announcer with the announcements, Buzz Noe.
Well, okay, everybody, and thank you for joining in today. And as we hit the month of June, more things will be reopening soon. But until we can once again gather together, you can follow us online and enjoy this spring weather. Now, morning meditation with Reverend Pam will be on Facebook Live tomorrow from 9 to 9:45. So let meditation bring spirit into play as you start the new week, month, and day. Beginning on the 15th of June, some events will once again share a room where we will finally be able to meet face to face while keeping our social distancing in place. On June 15th from 10 to 12, a spiritual discussion into which you can delve. Faith by Sharon Salzer is the book. Come join us at the center and take a look. And Writers Group will gather later that same day, with everyone keeping 6 feet away. So rather than reeling with stress and fright, let this pandemic inspire you to write. And a reminder to please continue your donations, which you can do online from any locations. We are asking you to please contribute to our center. You can find it on the center website to do so online. And there's a couple other places. So one is Ralph's. If you sign up for the Ralph's Community Contribution Program, and they ask you who do you want to donate to, you can tell them there in person or online. The Center for Spiritual Living Pleasant Valley, which does have a new identification number for the Ralph's Contribution Program. That's JE859. Again, that's also on our center Facebook, the center website. And in addition to Ralph's, we are once again suggesting everybody is shopping on Amazon these days with our limited access to stores and things like that. But if you sign up for Amazon Smile, everything that you get on Amazon will give a small contribution to our center, which will help us out. So once again, that link that you see here, you can either copy it now or you can find it on our website to let you shop online through Amazon Smile and donate with everything you do onto the center, and no extra cost to you. And we are also suggesting that there are 2 community locations that could really use your donations, because they're helping out some of the people that are having some struggles going through this whole process. One is the Ventura County Rescue Mission, and there's their website. Again, it's also on our center website, and the Ventura County Food Share. They're helping keep people fed through all this. So those are several places that you can donate. We appreciate anything that you can do for us. And that's it for the announcements. Thanks again for listening. Enjoy your day, even if the sun's not glistening. Now, tomorrow brings us June, and summer comes soon. Just be glad you're on Earth and not on the moon. That's it for the announcements. Thank you for listening. It is now my pleasure to introduce our practitioner of the day, Reverend Betty Ann Brennan.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're enjoying yourself wherever you are. As practitioners, we like to share demonstrations or the glorification of our mind into reality. And last September it was, I guess, I contracted to have my backyard landscaped. And one thing after another delayed it, and I didn't get there. And I was supposed to go to Montana, and I had to cancel because it was canceled. all those things. Well, finally in April, just after I was supposed to be locked in my house, the crew came and I watched them install this wonderful yard and enjoyed every moment of the way. And now I have a beautiful place to walk in and to contemplate and to help me know truth. And so I'm very grateful for that. It was divine plan. Well, today we're looking at the ego and the soul. We know that everything in the experience comes from mind, from our beliefs, from what we see in our life, what we see we can do. And the ego sometimes gets in the way. I have a couple of quotes here. A bad day for your ego is a great day for your soul. That was by Jillian Michaels. And the ego wants quantity and the soul wants quality. Unknown for that one, but I think it's a good explanation. And Ernest Holmes said, prepare your mind to receive the best that life has to offer. And I think that's what we're faced with right now is what can we do? And the first place we go to do that which is right is into treatment, into mind, to know truth and to experience it. Join me, please, in our journey into a new consciousness. I recognize that there is one power. That power is creating and is present in everything. It is everywhere. And so it is in the oneness of all that exists. And so I call forth a healing balm to just wave and waft over this current world and all the people in it. The healing is in peace. The healing is in love. And so I open my heart and my soul to the truth that all is love and to move my life through this acceptance of love, acceptance of expression. I know that all is well and that it all moves on in perfection, that my life is really unfolding perfectly. And so I look at all the beauty that is there, and I know that there is some darkness, and from that darkness will evoke change to being that which we already know is the truth. I know that peace begins with me, love begins with me, and then it goes out and shares with all through that oneness, through that beauty. I do give thanks that we have the opportunity of knowing the truth and designing our own life from that truth. And so I just release these words and all the wonderful words going into mind and let it go and know that it is done right here and right now, and all reveals itself. And so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. And now it is my extreme honor to introduce Dr. Stan Galperson, who I met in class a couple of years ago. And he has many, many talents. He's a real Renaissance guy. And so we're just delighted that you and your music and the music within you is with us today, Stan. Thank you.
Thanks for asking me, Pam. This is a real honor, and it's a pleasure to be with you all today. This is a song by a man named Eddie Watkins Jr. that I was introduced to about 2 or 3 months ago by my friend Karen Oxrider, who had me perform at the Wednesday night service that you and Dr. Sue were at. So I love this song, and I hope you all will too. It's called I Am the Place Where God Shows Up. Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come with this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decision Well, standing at a fork in the road. Sometimes I wonder and I ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own. I am the place where God is, moves and breathes as its being. I am the place God shows up. I am the place where God is, moves and breathes as its being. I am the place God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the strength of mind and body to live a life in grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and I ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own. I am the place where God is, moves and breathes as its being. I am the place God shows up. I am the place where God is, moves and breathes as its being. I am the place God shows up. I am the place. You are the place. We are the place where God shows up. I am the place. You are the place. We are the place where God shows up. I am the place where God is, moves and breathes as its being. I am the place where God shows up.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. That is fab. I have not heard that song unless I've heard it from you at your center. So, oh, it's fabulous. Thank you so much. So it is now time to introduce our talk. And it was originally Ego and Essence. And we may be weaving some of that into that talk. But talking to Sue yesterday, especially, we felt that we needed to address all that's happening in the world right now on our planet and all of the anger that is happening around. And it's like the planet, and I think all of us in our own way, in this dichotomy, in this contrast of the good and the challenging, are wanting something greater to birth right here and right now. And yesterday was one of the great examples of that contrast. And many are so sad, and it's all races from all walks of life that are mourning right now the death of wonderful George Floyd, that sweet man was killed. But as we were watching yesterday all of the riots on the planet, then we watched the rocket go up into space, the first American rocket from SpaceX to go in with astronauts, that it was a privately owned company, and it was so successful. And all I could think of is that poem, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies with laughter, and upward I've climbed and joined the beautiful mirth of open, wonderful sunlit clouds, and done 100 things have dreamed of. And yet, while in the silent, lifting my mind, I have touched the face of God. And so here we are, all down and here on this earth, and yet this dichotomy of something even greater, that higher vision. And I'll let Sue address this.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Reverend Pam. I realized a couple of things this morning. Number one, not being in the Christian faith, but today is Pentecost. And that was the 50 days after the rising of Jesus, the resurrection, the Christ consciousness. And really what the Pentecost is, it's a reaping of a harvest. Because whatever is happening in the world now, whatever happened in my life, in your life, throughout life, it still traces back to the truth that life is consciousness. And so this isn't just an isolated instant with George Floyd or with any of the many who have preceded him through the years. And so on Pentecost, when those disciples got together in the upper chamber, symbolic of that higher consciousness, they had a collective spiritual revelation where the disciples became the apostles. And I started thinking, what if that truly is the bottom line of drawing the essence of who we are into the ego? The ego is simply that place which we're seeing magnified collectively. It's the fear, and it's the sense of separation and aloneness, isolation, that there's something of a justice, of a kindness, of an equality that still has not been met. Martin Luther King said, a riot is the language of the unheard. And so what we're seeing is really what happens now. It recalled in my mind the Rodney King riots in Los Angeles. So you see, the cause still hasn't been corrected. It's still the same voices that have not been heard, something about the racial injustice and prejudice that, as all of us are realizing, it's still an unmet need that has not been satisfied. And so to bring more of spiritual practice into our work and to not only receive our own spiritual revelation, but just like the disciples, to become apostles so that we all rise together and say there is something that can be done. And that something has to be healed at the root, at the very core of where the mental, the emotional, the physical series of occurrences simply points us back to the corrections that need to be made in our awareness of who we are when we say that we are individualizations of the divine.
You know, it is so interesting. And again, in that oneness, what we're witnessing is people who have not been heard, and they are, what is the quickest way to get someone's attention? It's anger. And so they have reached their limits. And I'm talking all races here too. All of us have reached our limits, that we want equality. We want that peace that's within us. And there's a quote somewhere, and I can't remember who said it, is though when chaos comes and what we thought we needed to put our attention to, it takes over in importance. In the same way, once we realize that what is important most here is the love, and then the self-corrupt king dies, so to speak. But once we open our hearts and we allow that spirituality and our love to enter us in greater ways than ever before, the anger is calling us to reveal that which is undeniable but has not been embraced. And yet it brings us to that higher calling to absolutely open our hearts and realize that there's so much pain that has not been addressed here.
You know, I saw the most beautiful YouTube, and it showed, and the voice that was speaking was of a Black man walking his daughter and dog. And the whole context of the talk that he walked, you saw him walking only away from you. So you could only see his back and the back of the dog and the child. But what he was saying was, I live in a white neighborhood, and I would not think to walk through my own neighborhood without my child and my dog. Because if I were to walk alone in my predominantly white neighborhood, I would have fear rising to such a point that I would be questioned, attacked, or stopped. And so the whole idea, you know, we live in a community and we attend a spiritual community that basically has no people of color. So I think there's such a unawareness of what it really means to be confronted with what we see as police injustice and violence toward Blacks and people of color. And I think the whole point of it is for each and every one of us, regardless of what culture, religion, status that we are, what color we are, to realize that we all hold prejudice. This is how we heal consciousness, and the effect will follow suit. It's to find out what is it that holds me back in my own world, because I still have a hidden prejudice against or for one thing or another. I mean, our whole environment can no longer be ignored politically, economically, environmentally. There's no point within what's going on that you refer to as chaos, which is always, yes, a moment of possibility and opportunity. But I think spirituality has achieved the necessity of coming to a whole new point where it's not spirituality is here and politics and prejudice and injustice and hunger and a falling planet environmentally is separate. That's over there. It's the time to merge the ego and the essence. And then the things that are difficult to talk about, I guarantee you, coming back from the orientation that I came into with Science of Mind 40 years ago, this topic would not be approached. We would be gathering and pretending like nothing is happening in the world. That can't be anymore. We have to all become more spiritually inspired to take some political action. If we don't like the present leadership of our government, we've got to make sure we get out and have people vote. If you don't like it, then change it by making sure everybody casts a vote, regardless of who they're for or against. But cast your vote to say, if I don't want things to look the way they are, I am cause to making the change that matters and makes a difference.
You know, it is so true. And I want to go back to one of my best friends who was also my business partner. And many of you know him as Lucius Tatum. And he grew up in Ventura County and he's Black. And we traveled together. We were very, very close. And I learned so much about what a Black man can do. And especially we traveled to the South one time and we checked into a hotel in different rooms, and the looks and the glares, I was just stunned, because we live in a very liberal, at least I do, in this liberal California. And most of us have a whole different attitude here about the oneness and the peace and just honoring that oneness in everybody. But what I learned from Lucius is he always watches his back. He's now head of production for Sony Studios, but he always don't make waves, don't make any waves whatsoever. And I never realized that until I was with him. And I used to think sometimes our wonderful President Obama probably had that same training. Whatever you do, don't bring attention, don't bring up all the anger, go to that higher place. But you can't release that which is like that volcano within you until you can embrace it and see that the harm that it's doing, and then take that passion, as you said, that anger and that passion that lies within, and do good for it and take it out into that world and really recreate that honoring of not seeing black, white, religious, non-religious, whatever it is, and just going for understanding, a deeper understanding, and honoring basically who you are, which is that divine being, and pull from who you are under all circumstances. And I agree with you 100%. It's time for us to step up. And I just want to remember that quote, and I don't remember it totally, but it was the guy in Germany, and he says, here, I have it right here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. They first came for the communists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. And I didn't speak up when they came for the Jews because I wasn't a Jew. And then it goes on and on where they didn't speak up for the Catholics because he wasn't Catholic. And then he says they came for me, and that by that time there was no one to speak up for me. It is time for us to take on that mantle, to take on that cape, and to speak the highest truth that we know. And anytime there is inhumanity to man and to life, period, it's time for us to speak up, make it known, and do it in a way I would pray and hope and know, and I am it, that is not destructive to anything around you. You know, you look at some of the greatest leaders and they did it through peace.
You know, the essence of who we are that we talk about, the divine nature that really is untouched and unaffected by anything that's going on. And to try to convey the value and the importance of that to somebody who is so visually attracted, obviously, to what is going on. I mean, what could be more compelling than seeing the violence of the cars going up in smoke and the buildings and the looting, and yet to trace that back and to be able to gather communication. You know, communication, first of all, is a communion. It's a communion. I have to know who I am before I can help you and facilitate your journey of becoming who you are. And I know that this separation exists. I mean, I grew up in New York City, virtually a melting pot. I mean, all of the people around me in school, in my neighborhood. And yet I found that our tribe, being in the Jewish tradition, our tribe still hung together. And everybody else's tribe hung together. You had your Chinatown, you had your Italian section, and you have the blacks and you have the Asians. And so there's still that separation, that isolation. And until we can commune and communicate in a way that opens our communities to panels, to discussions, to come meet your neighbor, the only way we learn about somebody or something is to connect with it and to find out more about it, because we all have in consciousness that which we're aware of. I can say I believe in God and I am the individualization of God, and deeper down, yes, and I have my own resistance or fear about connecting a little more closely to people I'm not familiar with, that I'm not on terms with, that I can relate to. I want to know who you are. If I say we're all connected at the source, peel us all away, and when you'll come back to the origin of who we all are, the same thing. You know, it's like those pendulums. If you put pendulums together in one room that were originally going at a different pace, they come together, they synchronize in sound. That's what we're all looking for. How can I synchronize the police with the citizens of their areas, the blacks with the white, the Jews with the Muslims? Everything that's going on smacks of a divisiveness and a polarization that, remember the movie Network, sick and tired of it, and I'm not going to take it anymore. We all have to stand up and be counted.
You know, it is interesting because we are energetic beings. This whole planet is nothing but energy. And so if we really stay in who we aspire to be, which is that highest example of peace, of love, of being there for others in the best way we know how, then that goes out. It really does. And we know this because, as I say, in this era right now, we hold the entire planet in our hands. We all we have to do is touch somebody with, and if you have corona, it's now worldwide. It started in one spot. And so that energetic being is like that, those germs too. We breathe the same air, we drink the same water that's been here forever and ever and ever. And so our thoughts are things and thoughts are very, very powerful. And also our whole demeanor of being who we are and showing up and going beyond the fear of a face that's not the same color, a body that's not the same shape, or anything. That is what we're here for, to shine our light into that darkness. And we need to shine our light more than ever before, I believe, because I just think that the planet's passion that came from, here's another dichotomy. What were we founded on? We were founded on the right to bear arms and use them. Mm-hmm. And our Bill of Rights is, for each and every person, but I don't think they included all races when they wrote that.
Right.
Here we are we now know, by the way, that anger has the same high. It's the same high as any passion, any love, any desirous nature we have, or the peace of meditation. It doesn't have the lasting results, but that high has the same example. When they do brain studies, you get that same rush. And so what we need to do is get the rush from knowing and being in the peace and the quiet and discovering the greatest relationship you're ever going to have. And it's with the divine within you, and the greatest love you're ever going to have in that oneness. And that is divine spirit, which I call God.
And you practice, you just keep practicing through meditation and through prayer and through mindfulness and through doing perhaps a deeper inquiry into ourselves, a deeper assessment as to where am I really? What do I believe? If indeed I was out late at night and had to pick something up now that the stores are open, and I saw somebody of a different color or wearing something outlandish that indicated a different lifestyle or preference, would I be afraid? Would I hurry to get in my car? Yeah, I have to be honest and say most likely, yeah, because I'm not like you and you don't appear to be like me. So objectively in physicality, we're always seeing the differences in life. In order to see the oneness and the unity and the sameness, you have to withdraw into yourself and close your eyes to the outer. And the only way I know to do that is to practice deeper and deeper, deeper meditation, longer meditation, more forgiveness, more compassion.
I agree with you 100%. I'm just going to tell you an incident I had on the subway with my cousin Bonnie in New York. And this was earlier in the year. And there was a Black man sitting across from us, and he was clearly mentally ill. I mean, there was no doubt about it. And all of a sudden, this really tall, handsome Black man come, and he stands in front of the other guy, and he says to Bonnie and I, he says, you know, I have mothers and grandmother. I have a grandmother and I have a mom, and I just want to make sure you girls are fine. And I thought, what's wrong with this guy? This is so funny. And I thought about it. And then he said, at the very next stop, I want you to get off with me because the man behind us has raised, he has questionable behavior, and he was doing something that was totally inappropriate that I couldn't see. And so I go, oh, and so Bonnie gets off, and I think, well, it must be okay because Bonnie's getting off with him. And then she told me that the guy was doing all this inappropriate stuff, fixated on us. And this angel comes. And I realized when she was telling me this as we were getting off, I went, oh my God. And I looked at this man and I said, you are an angel. And both had the same color face. But it was interesting. And I did not see the inappropriateness of this, what was happening. Right. And Bonnie saw it all and thought, why are you so happy? Why? But I couldn't see because the guy was standing in front of me. Anyway, I honestly think sometimes there are angels that come and protect us on this planet. And that was one of them. And it had nothing to do with color at all. It had to do with.
I just read a little bit about Gandhi. And apparently it was the time at which there was a lot of fighting going on. And he went on one of his hunger strikes. And a woman came to me. Yeah, I was right there. She came to me. A woman came to him and said, help me. My son was killed. And I am just filled with anger and fury and resentment. And I'm sorry about what you're doing. Stop this hunger strike. You are a savior for all of us and a light in our world. Stop doing this. It's threatening your life and your health. And he said, I'll make a deal with you. I'm sure he said it just that way. The Jew in me says, I'll make a deal with you. And the deal was, I will stop my hunger strike when you go to the person who killed your son and make peace, forgive, and show love toward them. And so that's what it is. It's like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? When the call is always to look back to ourselves. That's me. I'm simply projecting what I think is wrong about you from a place within me that I'm either ashamed about or won't look at. So, I mean, meticulous self-honesty, I think, is the first step for all of us. And then to reach out, particularly now we're running around with masks. you know, and it's like such a cover up. You want to see if somebody's smiling, and their eyes will show it, but they'll show it even more if there's an acknowledgement. Hi, how are you doing today? She gasped through her mask. So it's sad, and yet the joy of the spirit still comes popping through, you know, that says I can still share that, because that will give the light in the darkness. That will point the way for someone to say, as heavy, as dark, as dreary as all of this is, and the fear of where it's all leading, is the joy of the spirit still lives eternally, and it's within each and every one of us. So I know that about you. I know that you know that about everybody.
Oh, and you know, it's so interesting. You know, here's another one of those dichotomies. That which would have been a bank robber before is now is protecting everyone from your germs getting out, those masks. And I look at this, and with the mask and the gloves, and I thought we could go in and rob a bank and just say, you know, nobody would question us anymore, because the face of safety has changed, is what I'm saying. Before,
Right.
that would not be a look that was safe. You know, I just think that we continually have to choose our own paths, and that we have to look deep inside of us to see what is holding us back. What is the fear, as we say? And that when we choose that path of peace, as Gandhi did, and then keep coming up with new ways to imprint that path in this world, I think that heart by heart by heart, that's what's going to change this world. I really believe that the human consciousness is evolving within ourselves, and that as we find our own divine path to that peace, it's not about what others want us to do. It's about us standing up and being strong and courage, to know who we are, and we are that divine being, and that even in our light, if there's danger, we are divinely protected. I really believe that with all my heart.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah. So
Can I cap this with a treatment right now?
sure.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So I would invite everyone, near and far, there and everywhere, to just take pause for a moment. If we were all together in one room, that would be a sweet thing to be doing now, just to be silent and to breathe into everything that's going on. So at the same time, we're taking it in, and yet we're letting it out. And we're letting it out from a place of silence, of creative void, a place that simply awaits recognition within ourselves in order to awaken our own thought as to who I am, who everyone is, that perfect manifestation of the creative love, the peace, the harmony, the order, the unity and oneness of all life. And so I simply make a greater commitment to myself to look deeper, to face those things within myself, which are part of the anger, a part of the fear, and part of the false sense of separation from source. I mend my own fences. I clean up my own side of the street. And then I walk boldly and bravely out into life, into the very marketplace of life. And whether I take it off physically or not, the mask is off. And I show my own vulnerability, my own strength, my own spiritual authority, love, intelligence, compassion, and wisdom in the ways that I embrace people I know, and more than those I know, people I don't know, that I'm not familiar with. I change from isolation into unification. I expand my tribe to include all my divine family members of every color, shape, size, religion, sexual preferences, every which way. I say, I embrace you, I love you, because that within me, which acknowledges its divinity, looks out and appreciates and acknowledges and sees that which you are is God in action. And so there is oneness, there is resolution, there is spiritually motivated social action that produces harmony and a new way of bringing integrity, oneness, stability, and mutuality of respect to all life. And it all starts with me and with each and every person, and so it is.
And so it is. So in closing, I just want to reaffirm what you said already. And it is, peace is about finding the heart of the same nature that lies within all of us. And it's about coming into the awakening of how to use that nature, that God nature, and bring it out into the world. Because as I've said before, we're all energy. And we know that each one of us is unique. We are that fingerprint of God we are the soul and a soul and a soul of the oversoul. And yet we are that absolute unique fingerprint of God. And so whenever we enter into the past, for the day or whatever, we hold the high watch and we see the heart of the heart within everybody in every place we go. And we honor the grief and the pain. We don't stuff it under. And we honor the anger that has obviously been building up for years and years and years. But we also see that that anger is now put into the passion of creating that world that works for everyone.
You know, it just occurred to me that when those disciples were in that upper room on Pentecost, they heard everyone speaking in tongues. But what shocked them was they all understood each other's language, because the tongues that were being spoken were in each person's language. So we could use that as a metaphor. You know, the black was speaking from the black tongue, and yet everybody heard. Suddenly there was a collective understanding of the one voice that speaks in many ways, the many paths to God, and yet there still remains one God. There's so much symbolism in life, and that's the point of looking deeper, so that we can start connecting the divine dots and see how that's what we're looking at when we're looking out at the world of effect.
Yes. And
amazing time.
Go back to that space launch, that showing the beautiful Earth. And here we are down on Earth, and it looks like chaos, but it's actually the opening and letting go of the ego, which is opening up to the heart that is always there. And that's my truth. I'm sticking to it. And so it is.
And so it is.
Love you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sue, for being.
Love you, Reverend Pam.
I'll see you very, very soon. Hopefully when we can even social distance outside.
Yes. Yes.
And anyway, it's now my great honor to introduce Stan Galperson again. And I don't know if he's going to do this, but when we were in a class that Dr. Sue taught, we had an assignment, and this was his assignment that he ended with. He created the song. I think he's going to sing it. I'm not sure. So Stan, welcome back.
And I indeed am going to do that, because, I mean, how appropriate, you're both here. And so this was my final assignment in Dr. Sue's self-mastery class, as a matter of fact. And she inspired it, so I have to say that, absolutely. And the assignment was to write a treatment and then do it in class. And I thought, well, it might be fun to set it to music. And besides, it'll be shorter that way, so, you know. And I borrowed one of her favorite lines, and so the name of the song is God Is I Am. Like a river or an ocean, an ember or a flame, pebble or a mountain, source is all the same. It unified as something greater, many hearts in just one mind. We come this day to worship, to be loving, to be kind. So I declare my heart's desire to be mindful and aware, and see my life unfolding, free of guilt, free of fear. The God within me consecrates my heart, my soul, my mind, and I hearken to this teaching, and I know myself divine. God is, I am, I believe it. God is, I am, and I can see it. God rejoice with certain knowledge it's already true, and I am grateful for the promise perfection is in view. And in this place and with these people together we ascend. My love, it knows no limits. My joy is without end. So I release this to the spirit, to the mind, and to the law, believing it returns to me stronger than before. Like ripples in the water, moving outward to the shore. My consciousness increases more and more and more. God is, I am, I can see it. God is, I am, I believe it. God is, I am, and so it is. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is.
Yes.
Dan, thank you so
Mhm.
much. Wonderful. Will you come back?
Of course.
Oh, thank you so much, Stan. How wonderful to be with you even virtually.
Thank you so much for the privilege.
Be with you anyway, but whatever way. Thank you, honey. And now we have our PowerPoint slide with our offertory on it. And so you can do it silently or out loud. And I know there's a delay, a film delay here. So together, divine love
Love blesses and multiplies
Multiplies
all that
all
I
that
have,
I have,
all that
all that
I
I
give,
give, and
all that
all that I receive.
see.
and,
So
So it is.
and that's the way it
way
is.
it is.
And let me just tell you that as we remain doing virtual programs, virtual Sunday morning service, we still appreciate your tithes and your donations so much. It's keeping the doors open, the lights on, so that when we can come back fully, we'll be ready to rock and roll, as I say. So here are more places you can send your sacred donations. Our mailing address is CSL Pleasant Valley, 221 East Daly Drive, Suite number 1, Camarillo, California, 93010. And you can go on our website. If you just put, I think, csl-pleasantvalley.org in, it'll come up, and there's more ways to send donations in. And I just want to thank all of you who have generously donated during this COVID awakening, an awakening time, and allowing us to still remain where we are and giving what we know how to do best, ourselves, our divine selves, and sending our light out into the world. So thank you so much. And now we're going to have Bill Rotella on video singing Morning Star. And I think this was he wrote this for his granddaughter, Viola, and Viola's in the video. So enjoy.
Morning star, how I wonder what you are. You make me smile. You're a candle shining in my heart. When you laugh, it feels like walk with me, put your hand in mine. Life is fine because you're my morning star. Open your eyes, time to meet another day. See the sunlight dancing, feel her kisses up and down your face. There's no hurry, we've got time. Let's sit beneath this morning sky. Life is fine, 'cause you're my morning star. I'm never far where you are, morning star. Your candle shining in my heart. I'm never far where you are. Even angels sleep. I'll be here when the morning comes. Dream your dreams, then wake me with your light, bright as the sun. Wherever you go, love just grows, and I love you more than you could know. Your candle shining in my heart, my morning star. I'm never far where you are, morning star. Yes, life is fine, 'cause you're my morning star.
Yes, I just want to bring everybody back. Thank you, Lynn and Buzz and Dr. Sue and Stan and Betty Ann. I love each and every one of you and each and every one watching. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
God is I am.
Yes, and so it is. And so it is.